What's up, my friends in the film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. You know, some movies are just classic. I could give you all the reasons why they would all make sense, but sometimes all I have to do is say two words: Burt Reynolds, and that's all you need to know about a movie. This is definitely one of those movies, maybe the pinnacle of his long career, after so many great roles. But this movie is just Americana. It's just everything great about being an American in this film. And I'm happy to have two of my favorite movie talking people here with me today, starting with my head of life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
You know, that's not his name, right? It's
I
Turd
get the joke.
I know you get the joke. It's Turd Ferguson. It's a big hat. It's funny.
I'm surprised somebody didn't put that as their name.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until just now when you're like Burt Reynolds. I'm like, that's not his name. No, I'm doing good. This is about as close as I can get. I don't have a big cowboy hat, so I told Tex before we went live, I'm like, there is a term for it. I can dress in all black and wear a cowboy hat. It's called the alternative. But since I don't have that, you get the Ray-Bans and a Ray hat and a flannel, so you're gonna deal with it.
And since we're talking about bootleg and alcohol, may as well have the shape for Lone Star State. My man Tex, what's up, brother?
See, I don't have to cosplay redneck drunk. I already am one, so we're good to go. This is like, there's certain things you're built for in life, and I'll tell you what, I think I'm made for this one. So yeah, we're doing good. For all these pussies out here complaining, it's hot. It feels like 107 out there, and it's glorious. So I don't want to hear anything out of anybody. It's a wonderful summer day. And I just can't wait to talk about a classic film. So it's all good, man. We're doing good.
Hey, try 100 inside of a valley where it's humid as tits the entire time. About 100% humidity with that 100 degrees, and I bet you'd be fucking not saying.
Boy, you come down here and get you some of this Texas humidity. I bet you sweat your butt the whole way home. I got news for you.
Hey. How about you come up here when it's cold, when it's about -10, and I'll see how.
No, because I'm not an insane person, and I don't want to live in a damn igloo. Hey,
I'll foot race.
We don't have to wear long sleeve shirts under the short sleeve shirts to look like a cool douchebag from the 90s because it's cold outside, and we live in 100-degree weather. My God, so it's all good.
I'm just saying, it'll drop down to -20 all of a sudden if you're not ready for it.
But getting down to it again, we are talking about one of the classic films of a bygone era. We are talking about Smokey and the Bandit, the 1977 American action comedy film starring Burt Reynolds, Sally Fields, Jackie Gleason, Jerry Reed, Pat McCormick, Paul Williams, and Mike Henry. The film marks the directorial debut of stuntman Hal Needham. The film follows Bo Bandit Darville, who played by Reynolds, and Cledus Snowman Snow, played by Reed, two truck-driving bootleggers attempting to illegally transport 400 cases of Coors beer from Texarkana, Texas, to Atlanta, Georgia. While the Snowman drives the truck carrying the beer, the Bandit drives Blocker in a 1977 Pontiac Trans Am to distract law enforcement and keep the attention off the Snowman. During their run, they are pursued by Sheriff Buford T. Justice of Portague County, Texas. Smokey and the Bandit was a box office success, grossing $300 million against a $4.3 million budget, becoming the second highest grossing domestic film of 1977 in the United States, behind what, Jeremy? A small independent film?
Yeah, I think it's that one that old Georgie boy made called Star Wars.
Yeah, that one. The film became the first installment of the Smokey and the Bandit trilogy, as the start of the Smokey and the Bandit franchise. Critical reception was largely positive. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 72% rating based on 36 reviews, which to me is kind of low. The site's consensus review states, quote, "Not much in the head, but plenty beneath the hood. Smoking the Bandit is infectious fun with plenty of car wrecks to keep your eyes glued." That score seems really low. I feel like this is one of the movies that from one generation to the next, people will watch it. They just have fun with it. And for some of the movies that they give higher scores, it's like, how is this one not up there? I don't know. Jeremy, give me some of your initial thoughts on Smokey and the Bandit.
As I've said it before, I just don't understand why people don't like to have fun and be entertained when you watch movies. I mean, because I thought that was the point, right? Is it high art? No, of course not. But it's fun. It's, how do you not have fun, with, fast cars and, running beer, trying to distract, while your buddy in the big rig is trying to, get the job done. I don't know what's, I don't see why people don't like this movie. Again, it's it's along the same, not the same vein, but like you think of stuff like Blues Brothers, The Dukes of Hazzard, like fun stuff like that. That's just Plus, I mean, dude, that's an icon. Not only the iconic, late and always great Burt Reynolds, but like the Trans Am. Like you see that car and you know exactly what that is. Like you don't have to say anything. You just show a picture of that thing. You know exactly what that car's from. So it's earned its place in movie history of like one of the most iconic cars that we've seen. So, and a young Sally Field. So can't always go wrong. As what do you say? Nice ass.
I don't know, Tex, how about you? Like I said, right up your alley. We're talking about Southern guys, truck drivers, Texas. We are right in your backyard, with the exception of not having any boobs and murder. And we kind of almost had a little bit of boobs. Not
you know what?
Give me some of your quick thoughts on the movie.
Well, I will quote the great Joe Bob Briggs here in saying this is the greatest redneck movie ever. In a long list of illustrious redneck films, this one I think is the best. It's, you're outrunning the law, very much in the vein of Dukes of Hazzard, running beer. It's just fun. It's cool. You've got an awesome dude. Like, how do you go wrong with a tag team of Burt Reynolds and Jerry Reed? That's just, you just want to hang out with those guys and have fun. Whenever you've got a sheriff like, Buford T. Justice, you just want to mess with that guy. He's just a hothead and you know it. But yeah, this is a good one, man. I like this movie.
Yeah, I could say all the things about this movie. They would all be right. I mean, I'm going to wax philosophical about this movie over the course of the stream. But one thing I realized watching this is just how quotable this movie is. I had totally forgotten. It completely escaped, like everything from like the quick little one-liners and things that Burt Reynolds says. Like when they first get to where the beer is, he goes, "You can't drive a forklift," and Burt Reynolds is like, "I can drive any forklift thing I need to." It's like stuff like that it's those little hits. I forgot how good he was at stuff like this, not just as the character, but I mean the comedic timing of these two was just superb. I mean, I had forgotten how natural it was for these guys just to be these characters. Look, I mean, look, again, just going to the list of names. We'll talk about the cast here in a second, but I mean, come on, Jackie Gleason, Jerry Reed, Burt Reynolds. I mean, you're talking about 3 Hall of Famers. You get 3 Hall of Famers on one team in their prime, and you're just throwing the rings and the championships and the wins at them because there's nobody that can really stop that. But, and then, of course, you have a new director. One of the things I like about new directors that are willing to take chances. And this is a guy who was already known to Burt Reynolds. He already had a working relationship with Burt Reynolds. So there's already a lot of trust there. It all worked out really, really great. But, yeah, that was what got me, is just the quotes of this movie, like especially Jackie Gleason. Good God, you would never be able to get away with some of his dialogue today. But
No.
Damn it, he was so damn funny in some of the shit that he said. And it's like when the kid's hat blows off, he goes, "Daddy, my hat just blew off." He goes, "Is your goddamn head in it?" I was like, wow. It was brutal and funny.
Yeah.
It was like watching Sophia on the Golden Girls. It was just so brutal and so funny. It hit so hard. It was fearless comedy. But yeah, the movie is just fantastic. Let's talk for a minute about Hal Needham, the director. This is a guy who, again, his directorial debut had really made his bones as a stuntman, friends with Burt Reynolds, so they kind of already had a history going back, a ways. But again, kind of for a guy for your first time out to make such a great classic movie that stands the test of time so well. I don't know how familiar you guys are with some of his work. I'm trying to bring it up right now. I didn't have enough time before I got home to make the kind of notes that I usually do. But I'll go to Tex first. What did you think of the work of Hal Needham as a director, and what do you think of this being his first big job?
This, prior to the Fast and Furious, universe that we have nowadays, Hal Needham basically had the car universe prior to this. I mean, from everything from Cannonball Run to the 3 Smokey and the Bandits. But my favorite film of his was Stroker Ace with Burt Reynolds and Ned Beatty, where Burt Reynolds plays a NASCAR driver. I mean, it's not like I don't have a Dale Earnhardt 3 behind me or anything. I'm kind of impartial here. But Stroker Ace, the first Cannonball Run, and this movie here is 3 of the movies that my grandfather would watch religiously. Like, if he was watching a film, odds are it was one of those 3 was a good shot at being. And I've seen a lot of this guy's filmography. He knows what he's good at. And I mean, of course, he did Chinatown with Jack Nicholson. I mean, we do have to throw that in there as well. Just the dude's done some awesome stuff. I haven't seen everything that he's done, but I've seen a good bit of his catalog.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? I mean, just going through a list of some of his stuff. He was the second unit director on the original Longest Yard. Again, like I said, he goes back a long way with Burt Reynolds. Excuse me. Of course, he does Smokey and the Bandit 1 and 2. He was actually, I think, some of the people that were in Smokey and the Bandit 2 were actually filming Cannonball Run at the same time. But he also did Cannonball Run immediately after Smokey and the Bandit 2. Stroker Ace, which I think, again, it's an underrated 80s classic. Cannonball Run 2. He did a movie in 1986 called Rad, which is way out of what this movie is. It had to do with like bike riders and stuff back in the 80s when the BMX craze was starting. And then really just kind of stuck with the Smokey and the Bandit chronology from that point on. I don't know, just reading off some of those names, especially like, Cannonball Run 1 and 2. I mean, what do you think of his work overall?
Well, remember, I'm the young whippersnapper. I wasn't around to appreciate none of that. So, fuck my
motherfucker, I'm 36. I don't want to hear dick all about it. I'm young over here. I don't want to hear shit out of you.
I have barely begun to stick my pinky into my 30s. Now, hold on. Yeah, that's not. I wouldn't have a place on this show if I didn't watch movies that are out of my age range. Because if anyone didn't know, I mean, you can watch a movie that you weren't around for. That's a mind-boggling concept to people.
Are you sure? I'm not sure if that's legal in all 50 states. I might have to check the bylaws.
Okay, well, you get back to me on that one. Yeah, I'm also saying that because I'm gonna fall short on this one. I'm like, I don't really think I've seen any of those other outside of Smokey and the Bandit. It had been a while since I'd seen this.
You see Cannonball Run, man. That's cool.
Okay. I mean, you guys are waxing poetical about it. So, I mean, I'll take your word for it. Yeah, this is about the only thing I really would probably know off the top of my head from him. But, hey, for a first time out, I mean, you talk about sometimes the ones that hit with, like, the first thing off the top of my head is, like, Zombieland. That was Ruben Fleischer's first film. I'm like, dude, when you hit it and you hit it out of the park, I mean – what else can you say? So good on you for making something that successful. That's pretty much transcended all this time. So
yeah, like I said, some of these movies they're just classic. I mean, honestly, I think probably 50% of his filmography is with Burt Reynolds. I mean, Longest Yard, Gator, Smoking the Bandit, Hooper. I don't remember if he was in the villain or not. When Smoking the Bandit 2, Cannonball Run, Stroker Ace, Cannonball Run 2. That's most of it. That's about half of his filmography as a director, not as a stuntman. But that's just about half his filmography is all stuff that he did with Burt Reynolds. Look, I mean, it's not unusual for a director to want to work with one actor. I mean, Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio are pretty much in each other's back pockets at this point. Same thing with like Johnny Depp and Tim Burton.
Quentin Tarantino, Rob Zombie. There's 1,000 directors that do it. They have their actor.
But I mean, but for the era that this movie was made, like in the 70s and 80s, when the car culture was really booming, the last big boom of the car culture. All this stuff kind of had something to do with the car. I mean, certainly Smokey and the Bandit, maybe Cannonball Run. For some reason, he came back and did like the Smokey and the Bandit like TV movies, and there was a TV show, believe it or not.
I believe it.
That it must have been so bad that I don't remember it. it was on like in the 80s and 90s, and it missed me. It missed me bad. I never heard of this shit. But yeah, I mean, you can't knock any guy who makes a classic. If this would have been the only film that he had ever directed over the course of his career, his place in history would be set. But he also gave us all the other good stuff. You know, one of the movies I was thinking of when I was watching this the other day, I don't know why I thought of it, was, Tex might remember this one, a movie called Six Pack with Kenny Rogers back in the day. I remember watching that a lot when I was a kid, where Kenny Rogers plays some kind of down in his luck racer, and he comes across these kids. Actually, it's a young, not Diane Lane. Maybe it is Diane Lane. I haven't seen it. I got to look it up.
Oh, wow.
That sounds familiar, but I can't place it. I may have seen it just in passing or something. I've seen a lot of Kenny Rogers stuff, but I mean, like, he's not the greatest actor in the world, so a lot of it blends
Hey, you
together.
know what? Diane Lane, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was starring Kenny Rogers, Diane Lane, young Aaron Gray, and a young Anthony Michael Hall, as well as a Barry Corbin, who's my favorite actors. But he played as just some kind of like a down in his luck racer who comes across these kids while they were stripping a car, because stripping cars used to be a big thing back in the 70s and 80s. And so he ends up making these kids his pit crew as he tries to revitalize his racing career. It's just kind of a goofy off the wall comedy.
That's fun.
Because when I first saw Stroke Race, that's kind of where my mind went at first was Six Pack. I was like, no, wait, different movie. It's rough. I think the same year, but a different movie. But yeah, I mean, look, make your mark on cinema however you can. He gave us maybe the greatest car movie ever. I mean, arguably. I mean, you can make an argument for other movies, but I mean, the reality is this is one of the ones that kind of started it all. But let's take a minute now and talk about the cast. And I mean, like I said, you got 3 Hall of Famers in this movie. They're really 4 if you think about it, with Sally Field as well.
Baby.
Yeah, you can't knock any of the main characters in this movie. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Again, loaded with legends. What did you think of the cast overall, and who stood out to you the most?
I liked the dog Fred, because Fred is the glue that holds the whole movie together. I mean,
what's his filmography? How many films has he been in?
How many films was that dog in?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know,
do dogs get a SAG card? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was looking. Oh, now I want to sidetrack. You turn me into Cora. We were watching Wizard of Oz, and it's like the dog Toto got quote unquote paid. I mean, really, the owner / handler of the dog got paid. I'm like, so the dog made money. I'm like, the dog is an actor, I suppose. But the messed up thing is, I'm like, is the dog making more money than like Judy Garland or anyone else in this movie? Because that's a weird. I don't know. I don't know the logistics of like, a working animal like that. I imagine some money has to go somewhere to it. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess other than the dog, I mean, I don't know. This is what makes it hard for me. That's why I just picked the dog, because I'm like, there's not really any person that, I could say that, because I was trying to pick someone else, like just kind of off to the side. But man, everybody in this movie they really brought it. And again, it's the thing about, I think this was the movie Burt Reynolds and Sally Field met on, right? Like the first time they met each other.
I think they had worked together on something prior to this, a smaller production.
Okay, so I wasn't sure it was this or something. But I was like, well, I see what, because everybody has just like insanely good chemistry together. And yeah, this movie works pretty well. I mean, I guess I got to give it for his buddy driving the big rig though. So I don't know who really had the harder job, him trying to drive around in the Trans Am, or his buddy trying to get that 18-wheeler with the dog to the finish line, so to speak. So I don't know. And yeah, they're all Hall of Famers. That's what's hard about that choice. And I'm trying to even think of like in context of the time this was made. I'm like, I don't know, like how, we say these names now and we're like, oh, holy crap, but
I don't know. Tex, how about you? Again, a loaded cast. Who stood out to you the most, and what did you think of the cast overall?
Oh yeah, iconic cast. Hell, I think you could. Burt Reynolds' red Western shirt and that grayish brown cowboy hat alone is a character in and of itself. I can't see that combo and not think Burt Reynolds. But no, I got to go Jackie Gleason. I mean,
that's fair.
Hell, I I even wanted to use his line about the dancers from New York as my little tagline here, but I was like, oh, there's a certain word in here that I don't mind saying, but on YouTube I'm not allowed to. So
I mean, I use one of his lines, but I'm like, it's okay because I am German, and that made that line right there.
Right, but
laugh harder than anything else.
Right, I really happen to like his delivery of that line is just so funny because I can hear somebody I know saying something like that. But no, Jackie Gleason, he's awesome in this film. So many quotable scenes. You know, the trope of Southern small town sheriff is, you know, you can either get Buford T. Justice or you can get Roscoe P. Coltrane, you know, from Dukes of Hazzard. That's kind of the two standards of the genre. But yeah, Jackie Gleason, I mean, Burt Reynolds is great, Jerry Reed is amazing, but without Jackie Gleason, I don't think this film holds up as well as it does because you need a good bad guy, especially for a movie like this, and it's just perfect. I mean, he's got Junior. He loves Junior, but he kind of hates him at the same time. He's like, you know, if he died, he probably wouldn't be sad for too long. You kind of feel like, but you know, it's one of those things. So yeah, Jackie Gleason for me.
Yeah, Van making it pretty clear who carried the cast for him. So let's be honest. Not that wrong. Statement. I mean, I don't necessarily agree, but it's like look, I mean, you've got Burt Reynolds, who was already pretty much his star was already hitting its peak at this point. And you know, Sally Field, who was really, you remember this was 1977, so she is fresh off of being a child actor at this point. Yeah, she was on her way up. Yeah. Paul Williams and Mike Henry were like really big stars in the 70s and into the 80s. I don't think I saw them in anything after the 1990. But I mean, Jackie Gleason, I mean, the Honeymooners. It's like if I say the name Jackie Gleason, you either think this movie or Honeymooners, because that is so iconic. Some of his line delivery, his presence was so strangely unique that and playing two different characters. I mean, Ralph Cramden and Buford T. Justice are two totally different characters. But it's like he plays them both so perfectly. And I've talked about one of the things I like about Robert Englund is like when he first started playing Freddy Krueger, he was also playing this really soft, kind of fragile character in the TV show V, which were diametric opposites of one another. And he is so good at both of them. And that TV shows free range. And Jackie Gleason in this, I mean, just guys, comedy so funny. Owning the camera, so good at it. I mean, it takes
a certain kind of guy to be able to pull off that thin of a mustache and like not mess it up. Number one,
like even in 1970 something was hard to pull off that kind of a douche.
Right. Like you got to have I couldn't do it. Like I'd be trying to trim it. Like, okay, is it a quarter of an inch? Like 3/8? What are we dealing with here? I'd mess it up every time. There ain't no way I can keep up with that. But, I guess if Sam Elliott and Kurt Russell have the Yosemite Sam mustaches, he's the anti-Yosemite Sam. He's the barely there mustache, the pencil thin or whatever. So,
Yeah, but, also I can't not, mention how good Sally Field is in this. Again, she's about 15 minutes out of being a child actor at this point. I mean, she was very young. I think she was 19 or 20 when they filmed this or something like that. Yeah. I mean, she was very, very young. She is not the Sally Field that we know now, a legend in her own right. But dude, she eats up screen time in this. I mean, she's funny, she's relatable, you kind of want to take her side. She's a bride that's running away from what was going to be an unhappy marriage. So you're kind of with her on that. And dude, every time she's on camera, it's really hard to act against somebody like a Burt Reynolds because he's so there. He's so upfront. Yeah. It's not that he's abrasive or anything. It's just that there is an energy that he put out on camera that was hard to match. And Sally Field didn't look like she was intimidated by that at all. I mean, the way that she just kind of went back and forth with him, it's almost like this was the role that was meant to make her a star. Sometimes people get lucky and they find that role. She was fantastic. I also want to say I'm so glad that for as smart as all the characters in this movie seem to be, we balanced it out with the one dumb character, like his son. It's like, he is so dumb. I'm just like, because there was part of me that I was watching this the other day, and I'm like, why are you even in this movie? And then I realized it's because he needs to, and I got some trivia about this, about Jackie Gleason and why he kind of wanted this role, and his son's role in there too. But it's like he's the perfect foil for Jackie Gleason. Because, like, if it was just Jackie Gleason, chasing Bandit around, there wouldn't be an opportunity for this dialogue unless they were talking to each other over the CB like they do a couple times over the course of the movie. You needed somebody right there to kind of be that guy that he can rip off of. So whenever Junior says something dumb, that's when he comes out with one of those lines like, "I'm going to go home and punch your mama in the damn mouth," or some shit like that. That's the opening for him. That's the opening for him to spit out one of these iconic lines. So it's like, I feel bad because that's kind of his only role in the movie. But at the same time, it's so important because Jackie Gleason's dialogue is so important to this movie. It's what makes it great. But so I want to give some love for him for even being there.
I think Sheriff Buford T. Justice needs to call Maury for a DNA test. Put that picture of them two back up. I think Mama was having some time with the milkman, as they say down here. You know what I mean? Because that DNA ain't matching up, partner. I got news for you.
I mean, didn't he flat out say, he's like, "There's no way you came from my loins." So you might have been right, man.
It really was. It's like, this scene is so funny. No, that's not the one. I clicked on the wrong thing. This one right here. Like,
what happened, Daddy?
Get back in this goddamn car.
Like, "Oh, they're having a football game. Can we watch? You can watch the game, but I'm backing up. I'm going after him."
Oh my God, it's so classic. I mean, it's just everything about this movie is so wonderful. But I mean, let's get down to the plot now. I mean, we're talking about bootleg, and it sounds funny now to say that you got to go to Texas with Coors to bring it back to Atlanta. If you kind of knew what the situation was back then, back in 1976 or 76 when they filmed the movie, the year that I was born. That's how old this movie is. But the plot, of course, them having to go bootleg some alcohol. Jeremy, it was a very dated plot, but I mean, if you remember that you're talking about something that's almost 50 years on, when bootlegging was still kind of a big thing. It worked out great. I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think of the plot?
I mean, it works. It's not like, hell, if you think about, you said 50 years on, now you think about 50 years prior to even this movie in the 30s when they were doing that shit, and Prohibition lasted for a hot second, and they're like, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe that was a dumb idea trying to make that illegal. So, then,
that worked out real well.
Yeah, you got NASCAR out of it, so you're welcome, I guess. So,
damn right.
Oh, like, really?
Thank you, Junior Johnson. Yeah.
Right. So, it works. It seems like a pretty straightforward, kind of. It's like there's the looming overhead, time crunch of them trying to get to where they need to go. And, sometimes someone's just, giving your dog shit and you got to beat up a bar full of bikers and then, run their shit over when you leave. I mean, so be it. You got all the time it takes to fill up your big rig and get some food. So, no, it's a pretty fun movie. It's a pretty straightforward plot of, you got a relentless, out of jurisdiction sheriff just relentlessly chasing this guy, and to no avail, of course, because that's always fun. And I don't know, it's with the introduction of Sally Field, which again kind of still fuels the whole reason why he's chasing them, not the fact that they're tearing down the road like 100 some miles an hour in a Trans Am, but it all works together pretty well. And it's, like I said, it's just a fun movie, and it's how do you get, like, with Dukes of Hazzard too, and with this movie, like, how do you get tired of watching people just do stunts and do donuts and drifts and shit with these cars? I'm like, how is that not fun, man? It's cool.
We can talk Dukes of Hazzard anytime you want. I've had a lifetime to prepare for that podcast, so you just let me know. I am ready.
I have been to Hazard County in Kentucky. It is quite a place.
I was going to say, he says that, but I'm
not just that.
To me,
but I've also,
you.
I've also been to Cooter's Garage out in Tennessee. Cooter from the show, where he has actual cars from the show and everything else. So I love me some Dukes of Hazzard. I can pull my General Lee off the shelf right now from childhood. So I'm prepared.
I don't know. Text what you think of the plot. I mean, again, it's the bootlegging is definitely something that probably still happens in some small way in your neck of the woods. What do you think of the plot?
I'm not gonna.
I ain't telling nobody.
I'm not gonna incriminate myself too much, but I may or may not know something about that. But what's not to like? You're running alcohol in Texas. Here's my money. Go. You've already got me. I dig it. I love it. It's simple. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's it's a road movie. It's a hijinks. It's a Blues Brothers. It's a Dukes of Hazzard. It's all of it. It's just fun. It's a movie anybody can watch and everybody can appreciate. Is it dated? Yes, but it's in the 70s. It's maybe the best era that we've ever had for film, my opinion. But I love it. Now Smokey the Bandit 2 and 3, that's a different conversation. But this one, oh yeah, I love this.
Two was still good.
Oh, 3 was good.
2 was all right. 3 was we don't talk about it.
3 was not good. Yeah. 3 was not good.
No, the plot for this one, it's simple. You're taking beer into Texas. Go. Hijinks along the way, It's all good.
If they want to impress me with the next Fast and the Furious movie, that's what they got to do. They got to bring it back down to earth and be like, okay, Dom, I know you and Letty and all your guys and all your family. You guys can go to space. You guys can blow up submarines in the Antarctic with your car.
Right.
But can you get 400 cases of Coors Light from Texarkana to Atlanta
or
hours?
Screw that.
If you can't do that, then I got nothing for you, Dom. Nothing for you at all.
Make them haul the elephant to space. We're going to take the space plot from Fast and Furious and the elephant from Smokey and the Bandit and combine the two. Get that elephant to space, by God. Put it on the back of that Dodge Charger and get it going. Do what you got to do.
Well, that's the thing is I remember them, chasing down these trucks for a bunch of shitty box TVs, and I'm like, yeah, right. You take down a truck full of 400 cases of Coors. I mean, then we can talk again. So.
Right.
I'd love to see you put some wings on a big rig and throw it into fucking space and jump the moon.
I tell you what,
I have to get your guys' thoughts on this. Jerry put something in the chat that's an interesting question, so we're going to sidebar here. Most iconic mustache, is it Burt Reynolds, Sam Elliott, or Tom Celic? I don't know. Tex, what do you think?
Oh, Sam Elliott. Don't even have to think about it. That easy. Yeah.
I don't know, man, but
I would actually
have that mustache for how long?
I would actually remove Tom Celic and put it in Kurt Russell over Tom Celic. But
I thought about it, but rule of 3, I'm like, I could add a whole couple.
No, rule of 3, I get it. But if I were to pick 3, Sam Elliott, Kurt Russell, Burt Reynolds is the 3 that I would have to go with.
That's kind of fair.
I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think? That's a tough one.
That is, and I know that's my own question I just asked because I didn't want to have to answer it.
I almost put this in the poll. If you
I was going to say
before the show, I probably would have put that.
I should have asked you to do that. Yeah. I would say, like I said, just for the sheer commitment. I mean, like, I would have said Tom Celic because, I mean, what do you think of hand in hand when you think of Tom Celic? It's like, you just see the mustache, you see the man. Like that's, I don't know if I've ever seen him without it, and if he did have it without it, it's just like you don't look right.
Oh, I've seen him without it. He looks like
we saw Sam Elliott.
Tom Celic just
kind of shaved, but we're like,
yeah,
it's a little weird, but you can work it.
Well, here's why I would put. I mean, these 3 guys are known for the mustache, but I didn't often see Tom Celic or Burt Reynolds without the mustache. It's very rare. Whereas Sam Elliott, I've seen him without the mustache. He's actually in a political thriller called The Contender, where he plays the White House chief of staff to Jeff Bridges' president. And because he's the chief of staff, he's clean shaven and very dapper with the suits on it. And I remember watching that movie the first time thinking, even without the mustache, that guy kind of walks in and he intimidates everybody. It's like, so maybe the mustache isn't as important to him. Maybe it's just his overall kind of, just when he walks in, he just commands the room. But I mean, I don't know. It's tough between Reynolds and Celic. I think Celic is the one that, because it's like, you brought up, who was it a minute ago? Kurt Russell. He's only really got the mustache in a couple of movies as the character. The mustache isn't something that is part of him. Whereas like Reynolds and Celic, we always see the mustache. And I think Sam Elliott, to a little bit of a lesser extent, but he's done a lot. I've seen him do a lot of roles without it. But I don't know. Reynolds and Celic, God, it's a tough one. To me, it's one of those questions where it's like you ask who wins between these three, and I'm just like, we all win because we all got to enjoy all these mustaches. We won. the world won for being able to witness these great mustaches on the same planet, all at the same time. All of humanity won for having those mustaches at the same time.
I think Stuart McQuaid just gave us the next matchup. You got Charles Bronson with the pencils in. What about him against Jackie Gleason's pencils?
Oh no, Charles. Now, not to crap on Charles Bronson, but if we're going for the thin mustache, Jackie Gleason by a landslide.
I
don't know, man. Bronson was a badass.
Bronson's a real kicker.
Oh no, I'm not saying he's not, but I mean, you look at that. Buford. Could you imagine Buford T. Justice without that douchebag little mustache on his face? Like he cuts that.
I absolutely could because he's so damn funny. It's like if you were
that's what I'm saying.
The mustache makes the character. I think his line to hit like this.
I don't know. I gotta disagree.
I get it.
He's got such a fat chubby face with the thin little mustache. It makes it stick out even more. Like you would think he would go with a regular full upper lip, but no, he just cuts it down right above the lip just I don't know. I gotta go Jackie Gleason on that deal.
I don't know. I think Bronson's more of a badass. Now remember, you're comparing two very different characters.
Yeah,
of course,
they are worlds apart. But it's like I kind of want to take Bronson because he's way more of a badass. I mean, and even before like Death Wish, it's like he had the long history of the westerns and all that shit too. But I don't know. If you just had the two on equal footing, I would take Bronson. But again, it's one of those things where everybody wins. It's like no matter, there's no wrong choice. But let's move on now to kind of the impact on pop culture. I mean, even today, the song, the
Eastbound and Down.
The song, the flaming chicken, or the Trans Am.
That's a beautiful shot. I love that. Thank you.
I know that's one of the shots.
That's a great moment.
Like I have to have that shot somewhere in the street.
I love the wheels on the car. Those wheels.
But yeah,
God, those were cool.
Again, the car culture was so deep in the 70s, especially for like the muscle cars and the fast cars. Pop culture, the impact was pretty insane. Not just Burt Reynolds, but just like the movie itself is one that has resonated a lot. Jeremy, what do you think about the impact on pop culture that this movie had?
Well, like I said, like that's a car you can just throw the picture up, and it's like exactly what that thing is. Like that's even alongside, like I said, the big rig, the 18-wheeler, like you still know exactly what that's from. And I remember that. And it's funny because actually in The Walking Dead, there is that trailer downed on like the side of wherever they're at in some road. And I think
I actually had that as a piece of trivia that I wanted to go into. I wanted to see if you were going to get there.
Oh, of course. Come on.
Jeremy
I should have known. It's like Walking Dead, Jeremy is the expert. If I ask Tex anything about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm not going to surprise him. Same with Walking Dead, Jeremy. I can't hit him with anything he doesn't already know.
I'm like, you had Daryl Dixon and a guy from the Kingdom named Richard having this whole back and forth and like kind of a fist fight and struggle to the backdrop of like they're hiding on the side of on the road. And there's the semi-trailer right there, like clearly from Smokey and the Bandit. And I'm like, that's funny. It's like, wait, what does that do in here? Did they not make it to Boston? Shit. Because that's in like Virginia or something. I'm like, well, they didn't quite make it, I guess, when the zombies hit. but yeah, I think like when we're talking about in terms of in the late 70s here, when we're talking about this culture taking off, like, I mean, I think the Dukes was also in the 70s, right? The show was around that time. So
yeah, 70s going into the 80s was Big Savage.
Yeah. So around the same time, you know what I mean? So fits in that wheelhouse. And again, like I said, if you didn't think 50 some years on and three douchebags right here are all on your screen talking about it still. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, it did something and people still watch it and still enjoy it to this day. So it's, you know, and for people who were there, it's like, you can kind of get, you know, the fuel for that time. Cause I'm like, I see it and I'm like, man, that had to have been a fun time. You're all on CBs. They all seem to know who this guy is and they're all wanting to help him out. They're like, hey, don't go on this road. There's an accident, as they're like pushing cars out in the middle of the street. You know what I mean? So it's a cool sense of community. Like the one time, I mean, quick side story that happened to me when I was I think I was early in Boy Scouts. We had a walkie-talkie, and we thought it was so weird to like, we're listening, and then like some guy was like talking to us on the end of the radio. We're like, who the hell are you? Like, we're in a campsite in like a trailer, like KOA campground. And we're like, what? And we're like, how do you wait? You see us? He's like, yeah, there are three of you. You're standing right there in the field. We're like, what? And then sure as shit, here comes his car around the corner with that big CB antenna sticking out of his car. And he's like, yeah, I see you guys right now. I'm like, we were just mind blown by that. We're like, whoa. Okay, next channel. Who else is on it? You know what I mean? We're like, who else is on here? So, yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
I don't know, Tex. How about you? I mean, you're in Texas, where the car culture has kind of never really gone away. I mean, it's kind of in the identity of a lot of Texans anyway, in one way, shape, or form. What did you think about the impact on pop culture and down there in Texas, where this stuff is still very prevalent? Do you see a lot of like bandit cars down there? A lot of people with the flaming chicken on the hood, the Trans Am.
The Trans Am is one of those cars, like, you'll know somebody is really stuck in the 70s or the 80s because they've either got the IROC Z or the Trans Am. That is like the two cars that never left popularity. And yeah, no, pop culture wise, this thing is stuck. The first two songs that I always listen to on any road trip, number one is Willie Nelson, On the Road Again. I'm pretty sure that's a Texas law. That must be listened to. But the second one is Eastbound and Down, because if that song doesn't get you jacked up and ready to drive 500 miles to God knows where, I don't know what to tell you. You just get all jacked up on caffeine and blare Jerry Reed out the window as you're flying down the highway looking for some Smokies and whatever. But it's pop culture wise, this thing it'll never go away. This thing is both dated in its time period and at the same time it is forever timeless. So this is one of those. Burt Reynolds is so cool. He, in any decade of any time period, Burt Reynolds will be one of the measuring sticks of what's cool. So yeah, no, pop culture wise, this thing's here for good, no matter what anybody does about it.
Speaking of pop culture, I am pretty damn sure the Trans Am is in Ready Player One in the race scene.
Is it?
I mean, like,
there's so many movie cars in there. It wouldn't surprise.
I'm like, there are so many cars in that scene, but I'm fairly certain that's one of them because it has to be.
Now, I will say, the one car that surpasses this for non-superhero cars generally beats Bandit Car every time, and that's not even a question. But that's what you're gonna do. No, go ahead.
No, I found it because I forgot. I'm like, oh, I'm actually stupid. It was not just like, oh, there went, I'm like, oh, it was actually kind of featured for a hot second. Their friend, Show, the youngest member from Ready Player One, literally drives the Trans Am. Because it's a joke. It's like he finally made it across the finish line, but he's like, but he totally totaled his car. And it's like coming up in actual flames, ironically enough. As he gets out of the car and he's smiling, like taking the key, you see it just explode behind him. I'm like, yeah, he made it there, I guess. But I forgot that's the car the Trans Am.
To kind of hit on the whole pop culture thing, this is one of the movies and or television shows that set the standard of, which of course you can go back earlier to like the original Batmobile or the Scooby-Doo van, but that was in animation form at this point in time. But like this was one of the first cool movie cars that stuck. There were vehicles in all kinds of other movies and television. Like the A-Team van would eventually come along and other things. But this is one of those cars, like you can just show somebody the wheels of this car and they know exactly what it is. You don't have to see the whole thing. It is iconic in its own right. If you don't like a Trans Am, just go join Al Qaeda because I don't care who you vote for or what you think. If you don't like this car, you just need to get the hell out. I got news for you. So that's just the way that it is.
I don't know if you guys ever watched Modern Marvels in the History Channel. I think everybody does at one point. They did an episode years ago about cars, just like America's love of cars and stuff like that. And they had a whole like segment about the 70s Trans Am, the flaming chicken, and how some people hated it and some people loved it. And I remember watching the entire, because I'm not like a huge car person. I know what cars I like. I know which cars I'd like to have, but it's like I don't work on a lot of cars. I do stuff because I have to. But it's like if I need too many screws taken off, I call a couple of friends. And I'm like, hey, come by my house and take my engine apart and do whatever. It's just more than I know how to do. But I was like, some of those cars, I was just like, good God, it's like I can see myself driving around one of these cars. Now, like I said, if we're talking about non-comic booky cars, and I'm going to take Kit out of the equation from Knight Rider because that's always like the one TV car I would have loved to have, but because of the technology and the whatnot, I'm gonna call it a superhero car because it's not just a regular car. But don't
you talk shit about my DeLorean. I can have a flux capacitor if I want to.
Well, yeah, but it's not a smart car. It doesn't have its own intelligence like Kit. So that's why I would keep the DeLorean in the stuff as like just a car that has some special abilities. It's not some like crazy outside the box thing. But it's like DeLorean. Texas mentioned the A-Team van. I was also just thinking about the Cobra's truck from that Sylvester Stallone movie Cobra, the gray 50s style chop top thing that what the hell was it? I forget what kind of a car it was, but like that car, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Stallone movie Cobra from the late 80s, but like he drives a chariot out.
I have, but it's been a long time.
Oh my God, that car is just so sick. Like the Mexican starts to sweat a little bit when I see that car. I
will say this.
Around back in the day.
When they were making this movie, I am so happy they went with this version of the Trans Am and not the original logo, because the original bird on the original Trans Am looks way less cool than this one does. You can Google it if you want. It looks more like an Aztec-y kind of bird than this one. It's a very different design. This one looks more badass and cool. So, I'm glad they went with this one instead of the original Trans Am, fire chicken, as we're calling it.
Would you not count Christine, the Plymouth Fury, because technically it's a sentient?
I would not.
Fury is pretty sexy, but
I would not count her as like a superhero car. It's like I would count that car in with like in this list because it is just a car. Being a
car from Psycho,
a smart car, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I guess there's maybe a couple degrees of separation.
There's a gray area there. I was just like,
we need to do a whole show just ranking movie cars because we could do 3 hours on that alone.
We probably could.
That. Yeah,
that would be fun.
Yeah, because the Plymouth Fury is a good-looking car, but I'm just like, that one kills people, so I don't. Well, so you want to think about like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or Herbie? They're like kind of sentient cars in a way. Like, of course, the VW doesn't go that goddamn fast, but it's Herbie because he's special. So
can I throw in the VW van from Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I think that one counts too, or the Cook's truck, or either way because I have seen both in person. I'm down for either of those. I would love either, but it's all good.
Oh yeah, just like speaking of Sally Field, the car Thelma and Louise had, my mom just mentioned. Yeah, that right off the cliff.
Right.
I just realized that BJ said she had a Firebird about then.
Dude.
Oh, sweet.
So I want people to imagine for a second. Okay, here's my T-shirt. Here's the next T-shirt. I need a picture of BJ. I'm going to put it right over Sally Field's face because I can see right now, like BJ in 1976, 77.
You got to get the big hair too.
Now, I got to know.
Just going whatever. Fuck you.
I got to know, BJ. Was the hair bigger than Sally Field's? Like, how much hairspray was in there holding that up? Did you have the similar do?
Her hair went up. Yeah, it wasn't the.
Oh yeah. Well, as they say down here, higher the hair, closer to Jesus. That's kind of how it goes. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, I need you to look through. I need you to
state
look
fair
through
hair.
Yeah,
we also call it state fair hair.
I need you to look through a photo album and give me a picture of you with that Trans Am. I just want to see it. There's got to be a picture of you leaned up against the hood, maybe some bell bottoms or something like that. I got to see it. I got to see it. That would be a perfect 70s picture. I don't know if it would ever get any better than that.
66 Ford Thunderbird is from Thelma and Louise. Okay.
Yeah, that's not a bad car either.
Yeah. She had the big hair and it was red. Exactly.
Big red hair. So she's going for I'm picturing like Reba McEntire in the 80s big hair. It's kind of what I'm picturing right now. So that's cool. That's cool.
I don't know if I like red on the Trans Am though. I've never been big on red on a car. It's like it looks okay on like Ferrari or something.
Get you some hot rod red on that thing, man. That's cool.
She's saying her hair was red, not the car.
Yeah, red hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, the car wasn't. No, I don't think the car was red.
Yeah, I've never liked red on a lot of cars. I don't know. Like the sporty stuff, it's supposed to go fast, like Ferraris. Like those look okay red. I've just never liked red on.
Well, here's my other.
Are you? Hang on, wait. Are you telling me that you wouldn't love a little red Corvette? A little red Corvette? Come on now.
Yeah, it's a good song title, but I don't like red on cars.
What about the Gran Torino from Starsky and Hutch? That thing was red. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I can get with that. I get with that.
So, did you automatically dislike the Iron Man film when he said, throw a little hot rod red on it? Did you automatically downvote that film?
No, because it's not the car. It's the suit. And the Iron Man suit is like 80% red. So it worked out.
It's okay if you wear red metal, but you don't want to drive red metal. Okay, I was just figuring you out. That's all good. It's
not just metal. It's a titanium alloy. Remember that? Yeah, she said
Stark built us in a cave.
She said the car was gunmetal gray. I can get with that. Gunmetal gray on a car? Yeah. I can do that.
Gunmetal gray Trans Am? Hell yeah.
I'm down. I've always liked gunmetal gray. Most of my camos that I use in the gun games that we play, like Call of Duty and Fortnite, I like that gunmetal gray or the carbon fiber.
Ever since they screwed up I had different camos for my guns in Fortnite, but then they changed up all the damn lockers, and I'm like, nope, straight black. They're all black and gray now. I can't. You ruined it for me. So all my guns look boring. But they look slick because they're all just like that straight black and gray. But no, damn it.
But let's talk about this. Now, we are in this age where everything's getting remade, rebooted, whatever.
Don't you fucking say it.
I'm not. It's not my idea, but there is talk of some more Smokey the Bandit coming. Maybe obviously not, but I mean more Smokey and the Bandit coming. I don't know. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. What do you think? Is more Smokey and the Bandit kind of a good idea? What do you think of the idea of them trying to bring Smokey and the Bandit back to the modern day audience?
We don't have Burt Reynolds anymore, unfortunately. So I don't think we need to be doing this poor man when he's already no longer on the same plane of existence as we are. I don't even... And it seems like an unfair hill to fight up when I'm like, I mean, look at right there. Like, look at that guy. The charm, like the hat, his whole demeanor in this movie. If my first question is then like, okay, who are you going to have play this guy? Like, I don't know who's going to pull that off. And especially
there's nobody
opposite of his friend too. And I'm like, I don't, I honestly don't know who. I don't know.
You know,
And
it
my
ended
next
up being
question would
Chris
be,
fucking
what would you?
Pratt. You know that, right? It would end up
It's
being
always
Chris fucking Pratt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always Chris Pratt, and then maybe his buddy will be fucking Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I don't fucking know because he's in everything.
Right. Yeah. Somehow
And
John Cena
Maybe,
wheels his way into it. Yeah.
And you know damn well some stupid little black Charger is gonna pull up. It's gonna be Dom with his stupid bald head. I'm like, God, go away. Hey, I heard you need to make a jump over the ridge. Like, shut up.
Heard you needed a 10-second car or whatever they say.
I said a 10. Well, that's when the movie was still good. I said a 10-second car, not a 10-minute car. That was still a good movie. You had the Supra, but I don't know, man. What would you make it like? I guess quote unquote a period piece. Would you set it in the 70s again, or would you? I don't know why you'd want to try and make it now because it wouldn't work the same way. You couldn't sit in the same bar as the guy who's been chasing you the last like 700 miles, and then just dip out. I don't know. I just feel like it wouldn't work. It'd have to be from that era because again, you could still have the car. I mean, like you never change the car. Like the fact that like Pontiac's just basically dead and gone now. It kind of makes it cooler if you still had like a 70s Trans Am, but I don't know. I say no. Maybe just leave it.
I don't know. Tex, what do you think? I think you're going to probably answer the way that Jeremy answered, the way that most people are answering the chat right now. What do you think of the idea of us getting more Bandit at some point in the future?
The correct and short answer is hell and no. Thank you, anyways. That's
Wait, what did he say? Do the letters F and O mean anything to you?
Right. I said it about Roadhouse. The same rule applies here. It's a time. It belongs in the era that it came from. Don't mess with it. It's perfect. You're not going to do any better. And I can't not hear the term modern audience in my ear without hearing Critical Drinker say it. So maybe I watch his channel too much. I'm not sure. But I don't need to see the modern audience version. I don't need to see the modern audience version of this film because it's going to be some woke crap. There's going to be like a, Free Palestine sticker on the back of the Trans Am or some god awful crap. I don't think
a Confederate flag. It's going to be a Ukraine flag. That's what it's
right. It's going to be like a Ukraine flag. Some kind of nonsense. And don't even get me started with what they would do with Trans Am because that's a whole nother conversation. That's going to get us kicked off of YouTube. So no.
The car is problematic. We got to have something else.
Yeah, it would be like some electric car or some nonsense.
Did you just assume what gear was
it's a binary, it would be a whole thing. No, let's let the past alone and not ruin any more things because we've ruined so much already. So, no, thank you. So.
No, I already know what it's going to be. It's not going to be a Confederate flag. It's just going to say MAGA on the front.
No, it's going to be a Ukrainian flag now. It's going to be there's going to be 2 flags on there kind of layered over. It's going to be the Ukraine flag, the BLM flag, and the rainbow flag.
Yeah. It's exactly what they're going to be like.
Without having a message.
They're going to be like hauling like, what's those hard?
Either.
It's not going to be beer. It's going to be like hard seltzer being took to a Pride Parade rally or some nonsense. It's going to be the new movie. I don't need to see that. So no, I'm good. So thank you.
I stick to what I've said before about any movie is open to a remake. You can remake a movie. If it sucks, I've always got the original. Go back to it. If it's good, then I have 2 versions of a movie that I can enjoy. But no. Look, here's the problem: is actors from one era had a different way about them. Like I always think about the difference between modern day actresses like the Meryl Streeps and all that, and then the actresses of 60, 70, 80 years ago, like the Hepburns, the and stuff like that. It's like they were just different, and the way they handled themselves, the way they spoke, the way everything was so different. When you look at a guy like Burt Reynolds in this role, it's like it's not even just him. Where could you find somebody that could be Jackie Gleason? to Burt Reynolds. You cannot find that anywhere in this.
There's nobody.
So, and, you know, where would you find somebody to be Jerry Reed the way that Jerry Reed was Snowman in this movie? You when you remake this movie, there's some things about chemistry and presence that you just can't duplicate these things. That's the hard thing about a remake, especially of one of the well-loved movies, is that it's like you catch lightning in a bottle. Something like Wizard of Oz is one that comes up all the time. It's like you caught lightning in a bottle with that movie. You will never, ever, ever catch that amount of lightning in a bottle ever again. You can try and try and try. You can float around a storm with a bottle and try to catch lightning. You will never catch it the same way ever again. And if it's not the same, it's never going to be loved the same. So it's like some people might say it's not a bad movie, but you're never going to have that chemistry. You're never going to have everything fall into place just the right way for a movie to be timeless the way that some of these movies have become timeless. So could like somebody mentioned Matthew McConaughey. We're going to do a Matthew McConaughey Bandit a long time ago. That would have been fun, but it wouldn't have been Burt Reynolds. I mean, I like Matthew McConaughey as an actor just fine. He ain't no fucking Burt Reynolds, son. I mean, he's got his own thing. All right. Be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah,
he's got that going, but dude, he's no fucking Burt Reynolds. There is no Burt Reynolds out there. There is no Jackie Gleason-like person out there. There is no Jerry Reed out there. The only Sally Field out there is still Sally Field. She's still kicking. It's like you just can't put this kind of a cast together again and have it all fall into place the way it did. Would you make something entertaining? Yeah, it could be done. But loved, something that, now 48 years later, we're still talking about as one of the great cinematic masterpieces? No. I don't think there's a lot of movies that have been made in the last 15 or 20 years, at least since 2000, that are going to be timeless movies that are going to stretch out to my grandkids looking at these movies and be like, damn, these movies are good. But they're still going to go back 100-something years to watch Wizard of Oz. They're going to go back 100-something years for Dr. Zhivago, or they're going to go back to a movie like this. Gone with the Wind. They're going to go back to a movie like this, and they're going to think this movie is timeless. But it's really, really hard.
We finally just got like a teaser trailer for Nosferatu, and I'm like, that movie's over 100 years old too. And I'm like, and here we are, still talking about it.
And that movie is still considered one of the greatest horror movies ever made.
I can't wait. That trailer. I know this is a Smokey and the Bandit review, but holy shit, that trailer!
I saw that trailer for Nosferatu. I'm excited.
Oh my goodness!
I was like, if you put it,
we just got
a trailer. I'm not gonna be mad, but I'm like, but please do the moment.
Now,
just save it, just where he's going up the stairs and he's like creeping up with the silhouette. I'm like, please do it.
Now I'm gonna make Tex hate the idea of another series right now. If he didn't hate it before, I'm gonna make him hate it right now. So this is from Wikipedia. Take it as you will. It says television series. In October of 2020, a Smokey and the Bandit TV series was revealed to be in development with a pilot written by. You want to take a drink before I read this text?
No, I want to take two.
Hang on.
Crack a couple Coors, man. You might want to need.
Okay. Take a deep breath.
He's sitting down.
Go ahead.
A pilot written by David Gordon Green and Brian Sides.
Oh God! Bless Texas, I swear to God.
Executive produced by his Roughhouse Pictures confidants, Jody Hill, Steve McBride, and Brandon James.
Why not just cast Jamie Lee Curtis as Sally Field? Why not? Go all the way with it.
I was gonna say.
I got it. Since you brought it up,
text up for this one.
Mr. David Gordon Green, a fellow Texan, by the way. I'm both pulling his horror card, his Texan card, for the travesties that he's done to Hollywood. Did he give us Halloween Kills? Yes. Great film. Awesome 80s slasher. But the damage that he did in Halloween Ends is unforgivable. He deserves the death penalty. And I'm not talking quick either. I'm talking like feet first in a wood chipper, buddy, on slow. So he really feels this kind of mess. David Gordon Green, he needs to be barred from Hollywood. I hate that guy. My God, do I hate that dude.
Danny McBride interests me because he's got a comedic thing to him. That's his best stuff. I still say that one of my favorite series in the world right now is Righteous Gemstones. I think it's one of the funniest things I've seen in years. But
hey, it
he
may
writes
be great.
He stars in it, and it's fantastic. But
it might be great. But Danny McBride, he's also going in that same wood chipper. Once I get it fired up, buddy, I ain't wasting the gas.
I have struggled to get by his horror rating. I've struggled with it. Now I understand he's probably a fan, and I'm glad that he is. Me as a fan of horror as well. I love the genre. I think it's got a special place in the world. But I don't know that his horror writing is quite there. Some guys write better comedy than they do drama. I mean, I don't mind them writing drama, but I mean, if comedy's where your sensibilities are at, then by all means, let comedy be what pays your bills. And venture out and do artsy, dramatic stuff. But I mean, remember where your main place is. You know what I mean?
I'm going to blame Jordan Peele for that whole. I used to be a comedy guy, but now I do horror. Even though Jordan Peele only makes movies about. Well, now he does it well if you want to see a black film, because he even openly says he'll never have a film starring a white person. That's what he makes. Every one of his films.
Doesn't mean the movies aren't still good. Like
I'm just saying, he makes one kind of movie. Is what I'm saying.
His horror's been he's hit about 70% of his horror films that I've seen anyway. It's like a couple of them have not been
from
so
The Walking
good.
Dead was in that one. Like, he's not black, he's not white either, but I'm like,
he's had one good movie. His first one was at Get Out or whatever it was. That one was fine. Amazing. I enjoyed that one. The rest of his film was at Us and then that Nope movie. Both of those were god awful. I had to work for me. Nope was hot. Nope was hot garbage, and Us was like
billed as a horror
boring as hell.
Some weird sci-fi thing. I just didn't quite.
And then
I went in there.
Jordan Peele did He tried to bring back Twilight Zone, and I think that fell on its face and went nowhere. Like that kind of came and went just like a popcorn fart. But yeah, it was. Comedy guys don't do horror well. On the most. Danny McBride, stick to Righteous Gemstones apparently because Frank likes it, so go make more of that. Stay away from Halloween season. Thank you.
As a Southerner, I think you get a kick out of that. I think you should try watching it.
I probably would. I've got it on my list. But
as somebody who's closer to my age than some of the people I have on this show, you probably remember the days of like Jim and Tammy Faye and the televangelists in the 80s and all that.
If I go to my grandparents' house right now, I guarantee you they're watching TBN or some sort of religious television. I
can 700 Club is still on the air somewhere, I'm pretty sure. But So
I think Pat Robertson just retired. So
yeah. So if you remember all that stuff from the 80s, and it's got John Goodman, who I swear to God, John Goodman is a treasure. He is so good as the main character of the family. But that's a show that everybody should be watching. But I just, like I said, if you remake it, if somebody remakes it, I'll give it a watch. I'll give it its fair shake. But you can't just find another Burt Reynolds. There's nobody like him ever again. There's nobody like Jackie Gleason. I'm not even sure if Jerry Reed's still alive. I'd have to look. But
Jerry Reed's gone.
Oh, he did pass away. Okay, it's like
well, I'm pretty sure he's dead. Yeah,
you can't just recreate that kind of magic and have it last.
No.
Modern audiences might enjoy it, but I guarantee the people that grew up watching this movie are gonna look at the new one and be like, it's okay.
It's not gonna make $300 million like this one did, dude. It's gonna get stuck on Amazon like that Roadhouse crap that they made with Gyllenhaal.
It would make $300 million because movie tickets are so freaking expensive these days. It's like,
well, okay,
it was hard. Like if you adjust that for inflation, let me get an inflation conversion thing real quick, because I'm interested to see what that would be today's money. That would have to be like $750 million.
I would imagine, yeah.
From 750 still now. That at all. I mean, look, the DC movies aren't doing 750.
Right, but here's the problem. If you're going to remake this, not only do you have to cast Bandit, Snowman, Buford T. Justice, yes, these are characters in the film, but they had Burt Reynolds was a character himself. He played Burt Reynolds in everything he was ever in, and it worked. You had so many of the Jackie Gleason. Well, like you said, where are you going to find another one of those guys? They just don't have them just laying around Hollywood anywhere. So you both have to catch this thing double because the personalities are so big. There's not an actor alive today that has a personality that Burt Reynolds does. The charm, it's not possible. It wouldn't hold up. There ain't no way.
Just get the guy that plays him on SNL. It'll be funny.
Norm Macdonald.
Oh, Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald.
He's dead, by the way. So I don't think we can really do that. Yeah,
it's a big hat. It's funny.
Yeah,
I mean,
unless you. What's that?
The Norm Macdonald stuff on like Saturday Night Live skit with Jeopardy.
Oh yeah.
That's the last time SNL was like truly with balls out funny.
Norm Macdonald's Weekend Update is still hilarious to this day. When he did that on Saturday Night Live back in the day, that was great. And then of course playing Burt Reynolds on the Celebrity Jeopardy with the like Jeremy talked about earlier with the gigantic foam cowboy hat, the obnoxiously chewing the gum and
but it works. It's so fucking funny how accurate it is.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, there's Celebrity Jeopardy was always one of my favorite skits. That shit's so funny.
Sean Connery on there. That's with Alex Trebek.
Like Sean Connery's the greatest. Well, because in that one time, the actual Alex Trebek walked out on the stage. And I was like, okay, see, that's how you do it right.
Yeah.
That's actually funny.
Okay, right. So $300 million adjusted for inflation puts this movie in Marvel territory. $1.55 billion.
Jesus.
Shit. So
now,
how much was that $80,000 worth then?
That's actually part of the trivia. We're going to talk about that here in a minute.
I was going to say, man.
Think about how much think about all the cars they had to buy just to make this thing. You couldn't make a movie like this or a TV show like Dukes of Hazzard again. They went through cars like it was just, I got spaghetti sauce on my shirt, bring in another one. They had junkyards full of these cars for these movies. I guarantee that's the
one that was
bulk of the budget.
It would almost be a Marvel-sized budget as well, a 4.3.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I think I may have put it into these.
I guarantee they'd spend.
There's a shot of the General Lee, and it's like it's obviously
so that
miniature.
Would be $4.3 million would be a $22.25 million budget, which is not terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, so you got to have
now just
with all these cars. You got to
get yourself 22 and just get yourself $22.5 million. Go resurrect Burt Reynolds and all of these other stars of yesteryear, and you can go make $1 billion. Good luck. So maybe you can use Jeremy's DeLorean that he's got out in the driveway. You can just hop in it.
You're looking in the wrong damn driveway because it ain't me. You're all gonna get mad at me for making it look like something else because it's gonna be a mashup of the Ecto One, the DeLorean, the Kid, and the one from Buckaroo Banzai. Come on, that's like every.
Just give me the General Lee with the guns off of Ben Affleck's Batmobile. Just combine those two for me, and I'm good. That's all I need. So.
But let's get into some trivia now. That everybody, the penis miners. Dude, if you have never seen the Celebrity Jeopardy, dude, they're all over YouTube. You could spend an hour and a half going through one by one, and they are all funnier than the one before it. Especially when once they get to the point where Sean Connery's like talking about like banging Trebek's mom and stuff. Like that stuff is just so damn funny.
I'll take Letitch now for 400. That's let it snow.
The way that Will Ferrell, I love how Will Ferrell would start those segments trying to be professional, and then by the end of it, he's just trying not to scream at Sean Connery. He's just trying to hold it together. It was just so funny, man.
It's like, I'll take anal bum covers for 200.
That's not what your mother said, Trebek.
There's not anal bum covers. Like, yes, it is. I created an anal bum cover back in 1954. Oh my god, those are so fucking funny.
Those are great skits, man.
But let's get into some trivia now. And boy, I honestly, there was like 7,000 pieces of trivia I could have gone with on this. But I did have to limit it a little bit because I don't have 2 hours to go through the trivia. Let's see. In 1977, Coors was unavailable for sale east of Texas. So this plot is rooted in some actual historical fact. Its lack of additives and preservatives meant that Coors could spoil in 1 week without refrigeration, explaining the film's 28-hour deadline. A 1974 Time magazine article explains, this is a bit of a long one, guys, so we'll go with me on this one, that Coors was so coveted for its lack of stabilizers and preservatives, and Coors banquet beer had a brief renaissance. Future President Gerald Ford, after a trip to Colorado, hid it in his luggage to take it back to D.C. President Dwight D. Eisenhower had a steady supply airlifted by the Air Force to Washington. And Carl Yastrzemski, legendary baseball player from the Boston Red Sox, would bring several cases back after playing on the West Coast by stashing them in equipment trunks on the team plane. Frederick Amon smuggled it once a week from Colorado to North Carolina and sold it for up to 4 times the retail price.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it's not just like this was just a funny plot point. This was actually a real thing.
Well, here in Texas, we didn't have Coors, but we've got Shinerbach. We had Lone Star, Pearl, made down in San Antonio. There's like 3 or 4 like big ones. Hell, I'm wearing a Shinerbach beer shirt right now, actually. But funny. I don't even plan to wear the beer shirt. I just wear it normally, and it just happened that way. But yeah, like Coors is not now. Coors is basically like it's one of those just regular drinks, whatever. But back in the day, it was a more of a regional thing than national or whatever. So,
I've become a bit of a beer snob as I've gotten older, so I don't drink a lot of like Bud or Bud Light anymore. That's why I was kind of laughing at all the Bud Light protests. Like I stopped drinking Bud Light 10 or 12 years ago. I was way ahead of you.
I was gonna say I drank
Coors is one of the few like normal like beers you would find in the store that I'll still drink. Like every now and again, I just want a 6-pack of Coors.
I'll take that back. If I'm buying the beer, it's Lone Star 1 or Shiner. If I'm feeling like, if I want to enjoy it, I go Shiner because it's a dark beer. If I just want to drink a regular beer, it's a Lone Star. So that's the rules.
So next time you come over, it's gonna be Coors beer. we're all over Coors beer, baby.
Now, Coors Original or Light? Which one are you going for?
Either way, I mostly when I drink Coors now, it's mostly because like other people I know have already got it there when I get to wherever I'm going. So it's like it's usually Coors Light because the phrase is always give me a bullet, throw me a bullet.
I was going to say, do you wait till the mountains glow blue or do you man up before that? Like how long are you waiting here?
I want my beer cold, but sometimes it depends on the situation. My buddy used to do a backyard Olympics, and one of the things that we used to do was the 40, whatever 3 beers is, 46-ounce chug, whatever it is. We used to do that, and one of the tricks that we would do to make it eat, whoever drank their beer the fastest would win that particular event. And one of the things we would do is we would sit our beers out for a bit, let them get just a little bit, not quite cold, but not hot, but like
because it's easier to drink. Yeah.
Because it's easier to drink it down fast. So I mean, it kind of depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing the 36-ounce chug, then yeah, I need to be a little bit warm, not ice cold, but not hot. But I mean, just not ice cold. But if I'm just drinking to enjoy it, my beer's got to be on the verge of freezing. That's the best way to enjoy a beer. How these Germans drink warm beer, I don't know. But they're known for making terrible life decisions anyway. So
okay, Germans had nothing to do with it.
Germans had nothing to do with it. I brought it in anyway. Let's see. Hal Needham actually asked Jerry Reed to write a theme song for the film. A couple of hours later, Reed presented him with Eastbound and Down. With an acoustic guitar, Reed started to play it, and Needham immediately stopped him. Thinking that Needham didn't like it, Reed offered to rewrite the song, to which Needham replied, quote, "If you change one note, I'll kill you." The song went on to become one of Reed's biggest hits.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I'd say it's his. I would say this and Amos Moses is Jerry Reed's 2 biggest songs. But this is if you go to any truck stop in America and buy like a collection of, the best road songs, whatever. This will be on that CD. It's one of those things. You don't even, hell, the song was so good that they named a TV show after it. I mean, it's just, come on now. It's Eastbound and Down, Loaded Up and Trucking. It's just, you can't sing it without hearing the banjo and just, it's just so good. I love that song.
Movie music, this is one of the things I miss about the 70s and 80s. In the 90s, it's kind of, I don't know why. I think maybe because people's tastes had changed, it became less of a thing. And they kind of do it every now and again here and there, but it's like having songs written specifically for a movie. It's like Paul McCartney did the song for the Spies Like Us movie with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. It's like they don't write anything specifically for a movie anymore. Nowadays, they have soundtracks, music that already exists that is on the soundtrack or played in the movie, and they have scores, which are a totally different thing. But they don't write songs specifically for a movie anymore. It's disappointing because I miss those. There were some great, fantastic movie songs. This just being one of them that came out in the 70s and 80s.
The last two movies I can remember that had songs specifically written for them and they're both Will Smith, Wild Wild West and Men in Black.
Oh, no,
they both had songs.
That's probably one of the reasons
even more recently than that. Wasn't it Skyfall or some shit? Like James Bond was one of the recent James
Bond.
Bond is different.
There's always somebody that writes a song for that.
But it's for
that's a legend. That's a legend thing. That's a Bond. That's a Bond historical.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, I haven't seen a Bond movie in 20 years, and I really don't care to see another one, to be totally honest with you. The last one I saw was GoldenEye, I'm pretty sure. And that was like years ago. So,
Yeah, I think the Bond is a bit different.
Well, what about
that's part of the tradition of a James Bond movie. So it kind of transcends everything else.
Didn't Eminem make Venom for Venom?
Did he? If he did, that's what I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
That happens. It doesn't even. I don't even notice.
Yeah.
But then again, who's playing?
No! I take that back. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. That comedy with not Will Ferrell, but his brother from Step Brothers.
Yeah, John C. Reilly. Yeah.
John C. Reilly. That entire movie had a whole soundtrack made for that film. So it still happens, just not as often, I guess. So it's out there.
Let's see. I talk a lot about one of my favorite scenes that I've ever seen in movies is the diner scene in Heat. This also has a diner scene, not quite as not quite as good. But Jackie Gleason said that the cafe scene with Burt Reynolds was not in the original story; that it was actually his idea.
Well, there you go.
Get me a Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper. I gotta go.
I'm gonna goddamn hurry.
Which I don't know what's on the Diablo sandwich, but it sounds delicious, and I want one. So if somebody can find me that recipe,
there was something I read about it. It's basically, I don't think I have it in here.
There is a guy who does do stuff like that where he makes stuff from movies, and I'm pretty sure he knows what it is.
I don't think I put it in here. No, I don't have it in here. I read something about it. It's basically a sloppy Joe with jalapenos and some other stuff to make it spicy.
I'm sure.
So it's not like a great culinary feat or anything, but it's just like I'm going to take this thing and add spice to it.
I do like a sloppy Joe with some like grilled jalapenos, and then I would go like a pepper jack cheese or like a jalapeno cheddar or something on top of it. That'd be pretty good.
This is where I read it. It's got its own paragraph in the Wikipedia article for the movie. The Diablo sandwich, ordered by Sheriff Justice in the Arkansas barbecue restaurant scene, has entered popular culture as a minor reference to the film. Though no authoritative source identifies the composition of the sandwich, there are several possibilities. A segment of the CMT program, Real Eats, used a sloppy Joe style recipe consisting of ground beef and sour cream. Another proposal based on more closely on images from the film and the shooting location of the scene, which was an old Hickory House restaurant in Georgia, is pulled pork and hot sauce on a hamburger bun. Other sources in East Texas, from whence Sheriff Justice hails, are familiar with the popular regional delicacy known as the Diablo sandwich. It consists of any of the various Louisiana-style hot sauces on Texas toast-style bread alongside the fourth most famous product of Pittsburgh, Texas, behind Pilgrim's Pride, Cavender's and Carol Shelby, Pittsburgh Hot Links. So,
okay.
So yeah,
I'm down.
So, I mean, if you need to reference that, go to Wikipedia for this movie. It's actually in there. Diablo sandwich. It's got its own paragraph. So
I will make all of the different variations and see which one I think is superior. I'll go that way about it. So we'll figure it out. I'll get back to y'all on that one. So it's all good.
Let's see. Buford T. Justice, one of the great characters in film history, was actually the name of a real highway patrolman known to Burt Reynolds' father, who was once the chief of police in Jupiter, Florida. There was actually now when I read this, I sat here for a minute and I was wrapping my head around the fact that there was actually someone named Buford T. Justice.
Yeah, that's
that
what
existed in the world. Like, so it's not just like this was a character played so brilliantly by Jackie Gleason. There was actually a cop named Buford T. Justice in the world. I wanted to know it.
You know, he became a lawman just because he knew like he could not do anything else and be took seriously. Like it was just like fated to him before he was born. So I imagine that entire bloodline and all of their kin are just, the law enforcement or wherever they live.
God, what a great name, though. I mean, even if you weren't in law enforcement, that's a killer name.
Right.
Let's see. We'll go to the car for this one. 3 Trans Am cars were used in this movie. Director Hal Needham claims in the DVD documentary that they could barely run towards the end of the film's production.
Yeah, no
shit. Yeah. You're either running at 90 miles an hour or jumping the thing. It's a wonder the engine mounts didn't just break off and the transfer case or whatever went flying. That's crazy.
I had read somewhere else, I didn't put it in here, that they had asked for, I think, 10 or 12 cars for this movie, and they were only given like 3 or 4 or something like that. That's what they ended up being given.
I believe it.
And then for the next movie, they were given something like 50 cars.
Oh, yeah, when they realized
they were like, well, yeah, I mean, because the first movie was so wildly successful, like, oh, wait a minute, we need to make sure we get this car in there a lot. So, yeah, they gave them 50 flaming chickens for the next movie. So, yeah. But let's talk for a minute about beer again. Let's see. Now, Coors beer was actually never illegal to transport east of the Mississippi. But due to the location of the Coors bottling plant in Colorado, it was very difficult to get out of the Rocky Mountains. So it was very hard to get into places east of Texas. Actually, it wasn't illegal to transport the beer, but the Coors Brewing Company did not have any authorized distributors east of the Mississippi because the beer was unpasteurized and the company could not be sure if it would spoil. The company could not be sure it would not spoil if it was transported too far. So the company just didn't sell it eastward until refrigeration and transportation technology improved. So while
now
they were bootlegging,
now both Miller Coors it's all one company. They have brewings here in Texas where they brew Miller Coors, all the different varieties of that beer all over the state now. So there's actually a Coors plant there in Fort Worth, Texas, actually. But so we've got it here now. So it's all good.
Let's see. Jackie Gleason, boy, he cost himself a lot of money on this one. Jackie Gleason was actually offered a percentage of the gross box offices versus a straight salary. But Gleason took the salary. Costing him millions of dollars.
Man.
Now, how much was the salary? Does it say?
It doesn't say on IMDb. There's a website.
Not worth what he could have made. I'm just saying.
But yeah, I mean, you're talking about. I mean, if he'd have made a cut of the $300 million, if he'd have made like. Because back in 76, 77, he was probably making $1 or $2 million a picture. But if he'd have taken a percentage, he probably would have gotten $3 to $5 million or something like that at the end of the day. Because it's a big thing for a lot of actors to do now is to take a gross of the what's called the first dollar. So it's like before you pay any of the bills, you pay the actor. Tom Cruise does it on
Yeah.
some of his movies and stuff. So instead of it just goes that way. It's big now, but it was rare back then because most of the time you just
that's how
say, "I'll
Jack
give you $1 million
Nicholson,
to
he did it on 89 Batman. I mean, he made a killing off of that movie. So
I wish I had a picture of the football scene, but I don't. According to Hal Needham on a radio show in Atlanta, the scene with the football players narrowly missed being a serious accident when, unknown to the film crew, a groundskeeper watered the grass in the field, causing the car to go out of control and slide the wrong way, almost hitting many of the extras.
Oh, shit.
wow.
Hey, you know what? I said this when the Rust thing happened, and there's been other things that have happened. A movie set can be a very dangerous place.
Oh, yeah.
Especially
if you're driving some big Trans Am through a wet soccer field, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
a movie set
field,
can be
Sometimes you can get shot by a man named Alec Baldwin. I mean, that crazy thing's happening on movie sets these days.
Dangerous place. Let's see. Burt Reynolds, obviously being important to this film, he personally chose Fred, Snowman's pet basset hound, because it refused to obey commands.
That's funny.
That's kind of funny.
I ain't never had
that's one of the subtle running gags throughout this entire movie. It's like, because at one point in the movie, he's like in the pond trying to get Fred because he's like, get in the truck, Fred. And Fred just wanders off and jumps into the fucking pond. So that's one of the subtle running gags of this entire movie. Fred just kind of sits there while Snowman's yelling at him. He's just like, whatever, dude.
I had never had a hound dog, but I've always wanted one of them floppy old saggy hounds just hanging out in front of my house, just sitting there on a hot summer day. I've always wanted one of those.
A couple more pieces of trivia for you all today. Obviously, and I'm going to read it anyway, even though Jeremy kind of
I'm sorry
on this one. But I've got specifics. I don't know if you can give me specifics. In season 7, episode 10 of The Walking Dead. I know you probably could.
Yeah.
That aired. What was the air? What day did it air? Do you remember?
To season 7. So that's 20.
Oh, let's see.
Hold on. 2017.
Rick was still. Which episode, Frank?
It was season 7, episode 10 of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I'll let Jeremy guess first, but I have a guess as well.
I don't know every exact goddamn date they came out. It's like, I know what year it came out. Jackass. I know who was in the scene. I know what they were fighting about. It was Daryl and Richard. And Daryl basically threatened him like, man, anything happens to Carol, so much as stubs her toe, we get struck by lightning, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I'm like, oh, that's intense. Holy crap. And all to the backdrop of the semi-trailer.
What's your guess, Tex? Give me your guess.
I already know it's wrong, so it doesn't matter. I was going to say this scene this kind of reminded me of, and this was right around, I don't remember the exact episode, but where it's where Rick is like about to die. Damn it, hang on. There's a scene where Daryl's driving down the road, leading there's a gigantic herd of walkers in a quarry or whatever. And he's like going slow on his bike, and he's trying to lead them all away from the hilltop and all of their communities. But I don't think I'm right. So
yeah, that's further along, I think.
Okay,
yeah,
season 7, episode 10 of The Walking Dead that aired February 19th of 2017. Daryl, played by Norman Reedus, and Richard, played by Carl Mackin, are standing in front of the trailer that Snowman drove. This one right here, in Smokey and the Bandit, when they are preparing an attack on the Saviors.
Yep. They were hiding behind the truck.
Okay, to be fair, that whole Savior War took like 2.5 years to get done because AMC kept dragging their freaking feet, and by the time we got to the end of it, like nobody cared anymore. So thanks a lot, AMC. You ruined it. Yeah, but the Whisperer War was
Savior War.
Without Rick, the Whisperer War was. I don't know.
As cool as it was, I'm like, I think we saw that scene of Alpha talking to Daryl at Hilltop. We're like, that's great, but
yeah,
we all really wanted to see
that should be Rick.
Came out and they put Rick on the hill. I'm like, yeah. Can you imagine Rick and Alpha talking to each other? Like, holy shit.
Right. Right.
Especially
at some point,
that's later in the comic when he doesn't.
At some point, we need to cover Walking Dead because I've got some grievances I want to air off of my chest when it comes.
I
to
still
the
think
show.
you know what
I love
do
it.
it like season by season, like do a season 1.
I do too. But do you realize how long it would take you and I to get through one season of Walking Dead? We'd be here for 12 hours. Just saying.
We'd be there as long as they were on the
We'd never
farm.
shut up.
Like 10 fucking years.
Right. We would, we're going to have Frank here to, like, hit our mute buttons to shut us up once, we get that ranting.
Is this our debate? He's going to shut us off after 2 minutes.
All right. You've got 2 minutes to... You have 2 minutes to explain why Shane, did this with Rick or blah blah blah. Because we go 45 minutes just on Rick and Shane.
He's not really a bad guy. Hear me out.
Just saying. I think they would have been better off with Shane. Rick was kind of a puss, but whatever. It is what it is.
Oh right, and then shit happened when you literally put a machete through a dude's fucking skull just for fucking around. Like you can't tell me you didn't.
Like I said, we can't start talking Walking Dead right now because we'll be here all night. But
he'll be here till next week.
I do have one more piece of trivia. Again, we're going to talk about inflation for just a second. The duo were offered $80,000 in 1977 to deliver the beer to Big Enos. In 2023 dollars, that would have been over $402,000.
Wow. I'll take it.
For essentially, 28 hours work, 30 hours work?
Yeah.
And where can I get one of those suits at? Because that's a sharp way to dress, buddy. I need one of those. I dig that.
Who was it that said it earlier? It was way over the top. Let's see.
Now, I style my cowboy hat much differently than the taco style that they did back in the 70s. But I can get with the 70s suit now. That's all right. I can deal with that.
It was up here somewhere because there was something somebody put in the chat earlier, maybe Jeremy, that what he says to them.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh no, that wasn't me. I was thinking the same thing. It's like it must have been hard finding the side.
Yeah, somebody put it in the chat. I'm having trouble finding it now. It was way earlier in the stream.
Oh, he just put it in there again. It was a Stuart McQuaid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard getting
extra fat on it. Well,
well, you think honestly, who could deliver? This is why the remake can't work. Who could deliver that the way that he delivered in that moment? It's a simple line. It's insulting, sure. It's an insult. Anybody can insult anybody else, but in this context, who could deliver that the way that Burt Reynolds delivered that line? Nobody.
Right.
Because I know when you talk about a movie like this, you talk about like everybody's going to say Chris Pratt. I know a lot of people might be like, because Ryan Reynolds is all the rave about this really over the top comedy like he does in Deadpool. It's like you would say him, but I wouldn't buy it. I don't buy him as a Southern guy who's a bootlegger and a trucker. I wouldn't buy that.
Maybe that. Hold on. Maybe that should be the movie. Maybe Ryan Reynolds should be the truck driver, and you should just have his good old buddy Hugh Jackman be Burt Reynolds. Put the mustache on him. I'm just saying.
Hey, I will say since we are reviewing movies like this, we need to review Blazing Saddles. That might be the greatest comedy of all time. Love me some Blazing Saddles. That's one of those movies that's just, oh my God, it's so fun to watch. But that's a good one.
And I've been saving this shot for you, Tex, because I know how much you love stuff like this, and how often you get such a glorious shot.
I knew it.
See, the fact that's an ass worth slapping right there, boys. Let me tell you what. Like if that ever presents itself, I'm pretty sure Man Law states you slap that as hard as humanly possible. But just saying. So she knew what she was doing right there. She wasn't innocent in this. She stuck that thing out on purpose. So she was looking for it.
she basically was like changing in front of him like 10 minutes after meeting him.
Right.
If the old girl's getting naked in your car and sticking her ass out, come on now. You just, put 2 and 2 together here and get 4. Come on now.
A little bit of extra piece of trivia I'll throw in here. I was just actually reading this. There is something called the Bandit Run. The first run in 2007 to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the film. The Bandit Run was the brainchild of Dave Hall, owner of Restore a Muscle Car. A group of Trans Am owners and fans of the movie take part in an annual road trip from Texarkana to Jonesboro, recreating the route taken by the characters in the film. The Bandit Run quickly became a fixture, celebrating the 40th anniversary of the movie as well, with a special 2017 screening of the film attended by Reynolds and a recreation of the jump undertaken by Bandit and the Frog across the river.
They do something similar like that for Dukes of Hazzard. It's Duke Fest or something every year where John Schneider will do of course he plays his music and stuff, but they'll have somebody jumping a General Lee, and they do like Smokey and the Bandit, Dukes of Hazzard. They're obviously very similar content, but they're very much tied together. I mean, maybe that's why I like them both so much. I don't know. I'd love to go. Sign me up.
Yeah, that seems like a good place to start wrapping this thing up. Let me get your guys' final thoughts now. I'll start with you, Tex. Give me your final thoughts on Smokey and the Bandit from 1977.
Yeah, hot cars, hot woman, illegally running alcohol. Like I said, take my money, please. It's a fun watch. You've got all funny comedic things going. It's a time period piece that's not all politically correct and sensitive and shit like made nowadays. And we need more movies like this. This is a good one. I like it. Greatest redneck movie ever.
Jeremy, how about you? Give me your final thoughts on Smokey and the Bandit.
I think Tex was saying this is a documentary. Is what he was saying. That's real life.
I wish, man. Dude, if I had a Trans Am in my driveway right now, I wouldn't be talking to y'all. I'd be doing donuts somewhere.
I was gonna say he would be in the car right now live from the car doing donuts.
He'd be out looking for Sally Field or some other hot young.
Yeah, I'll be out chasing Sally Field somewhere. Just don't tell my old lady. But we're all good. So, no worries.
Yeah, again, it's a fun movie, and like you said, I've seen it a couple times. And I know it's however you want to take it, but the Dukes of Hazzard with Johnny Knoxville and Jessica Simpson. We just recently watched that, and I was telling her,
I love that movie.
She thought that was a fun. She's like, that was fun. That was and of course you get Willie Nelson as Uncle Jesse.
You're not reading my name tag, are you, friend?
As much, that was a funny quip back. Like, well, I noticed your initials were Double D.
Double D, yeah. Well,
I was like, and she thought that movie was fun. I was like, oh, you like this? It's pretty much in the same vein, and it kind of is in a way, just running alcohol, and
Oh yeah.
Like I said, just trying to get to the finish line and get all them Coors there before that shit goes bad, or because it's illegal.
Just like Waylon said, just a good old boys, never meaning the harm.
He's gonna do what they say can't be done.
It's all you ever saw.
Yeah, I mean, look, Stuart McQuaid kind of just sums it up. I mean, it's pure Americana. Yeah, that's
yes, sir.
The time, movie taste. The crowd, the people who intake media, tastes change over time. Look, I don't think you can't remake this movie today simply because you don't have the characters around, the actors around anymore. Rather, I don't think there's a ravenous enough taste amongst moviegoers to see another product from Smokey and the Bandit. I just don't think it's one of those things that people really want to see. Now, if you made it, people would probably go see it depending on who's in it. There are people out there that are like Ryan Reynolds fans. So if they put Ryan Reynolds in there somewhere, they would go see it just because they're Ryan Reynolds fans. But I mean, this really is just kind of like Tex said earlier. It's a product of its time, and we don't live in that time anymore. I don't think the movie going public. I don't think the media intake is the same. I just don't think it would work now. But I think that when you go back, I was watching this. I was thinking to myself, I actually have on my personal YouTube channel where I go watch a bunch of stuff. I don't really post much of anything, but I have like and you guys probably, I know you guys have been to drive-ins. That little like 2 or 3 minute long, like
I go regular.
That little 2 or 3 minute long thing where it's like some old pictures from the '60s that plays during the intermission, and like they'll play the Star Spangled Banner and like pictures of like Yosemite or some forest or whatever. I had that saved on on my personal channel, and every now and again I just watch it just to be taken back, to be washed over by nostalgia, and that's kind of what this movie is. It is that. It is pure nostalgia. Why can't you remake it? I don't think anybody. The people that dig it, I don't think the younger generations really get into nostalgia the way that us older guys do. I just don't think it happens like that anymore. I don't think they're prone to it.
I don't think the younger generations care until one of these movies is like ironically on a T-shirt at like Hot Topic or Forever 21, and they buy. Oh, I'm a Smokey and the Bandit fan now, and they've never even seen the movie. They just like the cool graphic on the T-shirt. One of those kind of things. But yeah, it's.
Yeah, I don't think nostalgia resonates the way it does for like a 25 and under.
Yeah.
It's like 30 maybe. That's when you get to the point where people will still have it. Like 25 and under, I just don't think they're going to be nostalgic about everything. Stuff changes so quickly. It's just, I don't think they're going to be nostalgic about everything. It's like they forget so much shit. It's like nothing is gonna last the way this lasts. You know what I mean? But I always try to find something to complain about it in a movie, just because I don't want to suck any movie off completely, because I think that it sounds to me like it's bullshit. But it's like there's been a couple of movies where I'm like, I can't really knock anything. It's like it's just not just the perfect movie. I'm sure other people could point things out and be like, oh well, this is kind of shitty and this dialogue isn't great right here. But it's like, yeah, but when you look at it as a whole, it's like this movie really is entertaining from start to finish. There's nothing that takes you out of it for a moment. There's nothing that kind of makes you go, well, that wouldn't really happen. It's because the movie's kind of outlandish anyway. So you kind of turn that part of your brain off. There's just nothing about this movie that takes me out of the film at all. It's like I was watching it the other night, and my girlfriend was laying in the bedroom watching something else, and it's like as the song starts playing, I can hear her singing in the bedroom while she's watching her thing.
That's what I'm saying. Nice. This is one of those songs. If you're ever at a karaoke bar, everybody will be singing this damn song because it is played everywhere. I mean, Jerry Reed, that just Old Smokey's got them ears on. Just he gets into it, and that banjo's blaring, buddy. It's if your foot don't get to stomping, you need to get your pulse checked because you're dead. I'm sorry, but it's just one of those. Even if you don't like country music, it's one of those songs. Yeah, it's awesome.
Like I said, it's one of those movie songs that it's like it takes you to a certain spot. It hits different. So it's like even people like the young kids, like my youngest son he's going to be 17 in August, and it's like even he knows the song. It's like I started singing it just sitting around, walking around the other day, and he started singing it with me. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's a great song." I'm like, "He's 17." It's like, I'm not even. I come to find out, I wasn't even sure he'd ever seen this movie. He's like, "Oh yeah, I watched that movie a couple times. It's a great movie." I'm like, "Of course it is." You get it. You're my kid. You get it. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's one of those movies you're never going to regret watching, even if it is just a comfort watch. It's like this movie improves your mood. It's fun. It's got everything, with the exception of naked ladies. But it's got the girls at the end that are like whatever, like the scene where they find the guy that wasn't the sheriff or the deputy with the trailer with the
chief or something.
The working girls.
I always wanted a crossover between this movie and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. I always thought that would have been maybe the greatest crossover of all time if you could have blended those two together. That could have been fun. But
what could have
and it would have fit together. Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. Thanks to my great co-host for coming in and hanging out as always, for being so wonderful talking about this fantastic movie. My hetero life mate Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm here Tuesday and Thursday when I'm not in the middle of moving shit, and it's killing my 31 going on 60-year-old body. So. I think all my big stuff's moved. It's just now it's getting the rest of it. So, yeah, I can't really tell you what we're going to do Thursday because Tex is now going to be AWOL running beer or doing whatever he does. I don't ask questions. And then I just wanted to sit back and watch the debate because it'll be funny. So, sorry, we're ruining Thursday for you now. So, I don't know. My name's right there if you know how the internet works. But you won't. You know what? I say you won't find anything, and I will mention that I'm keeping my eye on it. At least right now, we are at 791 subscribers, which is insane because it just keeps going up. And I know we're in talks about like 1,000 is going to creep up on us, and we're going to more than likely do another charity stream. And I wanted to throw it out there in the wind, like, you know what? I'll sweeten the deal. Maybe I'll actually start recording and posting stuff if we get to 1,000. So you know what? I can, keep saying I'm a terrible content creator, and then I might actually have the footage to back it up. Or you know what? You can just compare it to Casey's, and then you can make your decision from there. I mean, who really, it might look like high art if you watch Casey and then watch me. Like, it's just kind of a step up. We know how this works. I'm trying to get his ears burning. He hasn't been here, and it's kind of scaring me.
I know. I haven't seen him pop into the chat yet. I wonder if he's okay.
I'm sure.
Casey.
I was sure once we started doing shout outs and last words, he was going to pop in for his. That's normally his style.
He'll just shout himself out, like, whatever. Yeah, that's me.
And to the shape of Lone Star State, our resident redneck, my man Tex. What do you got going on, my friend?
This will be my last time here for the week. Unfortunately, I will not be joining you fine gentlemen on Thursday. I'll be out hog hunting. So you boys have fun with whatever you're reviewing. I will do my best to tune in, but no promises with spotty coverage in the middle of nowhere. So don't count on it. But either way, don't let me not being here stop y'all from tuning in. So Frank and Jeremy, Cora, I don't know who. You never know who's going to show up on one of these things. So either way, a good show will be provided. So please tune in on Thursday. It's all good.
Yeah, I thought for a minute about just like commentating the debate because I will do my usual election stream. I'll probably take the day after off because I love election day. It's one of my favorite days.
Oh, no matter who, dude, no matter I can't wait for the election show. I'm coming in guns blazing on that one.
Yeah, I love the election, no matter who.
Okay, wins. I'll dress up like President Loki again. You got me. Fine.
But yeah, as far as Thursday, I don't know. I'm hesitant to do anything about the debate because I've already heard that because of the way the debate's put together, I don't really want to even just doing a reaction, not even like airing it or anything like that. Just doing reactions is already getting some bigger YouTubers than me in a little bit of trouble, and they have some fears they're dealing with. And these are people who are much bigger YouTubers than me who do political stuff, content and stuff regularly all the time. So what are they going to do to little old me if they really want to put the screws down on a small YouTuber? So I mean, so right now, right now there's a plan to do Top Secret. We may just end up taking the day off because I kind of want to watch. Look, I think this debate's going to be a farce. I don't even know why Trump's going to show up. Why he agreed to do this. Why he agreed to do such a stupid debate is just beyond me. But I do kind of want to watch. But has Trump never seen that meme of Admiral Akbar saying it's a trap? It's a trap. It's not.
Somebody should have showed him this.
The way that it's structured is just
all
so
just
stupid.
Turned into Biden's corner. Yeah. That's what it is.
It's just the way it's structured. Because this debate wasn't put together by the debate commission. It's just a CNN thing. Yeah. So
we know what it's about.
So, I mean, no crowd, which I already don't like. Cutting off the microphones because every now and again Trump doesn't shut the fuck up. Because part of me, like I've always thought of myself when I hear Trump talk, I'm like, shut up and let the other guy dig his own hole. It's like you keep stopping him from digging his hole deeper. Talking to his own hole. But
no, that's the best thing Trump could do. Trump should show up and not say a word. Have an opening statement and then just say he can have my time, and Trump will win 100 to nothing.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just play some Fortnite or something, and I'll have like a Fortnite stream going, and then I'll just kind of have the going off on one side. Whatever. I don't know.
Since I won't be here Thursday, I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction. Biden will be pulled, and Big Mike, Michelle Obama will take his place as the nominee. I'm throwing it out there, going it on the record. And I'm not even saying jokingly. Joe Biden's going to do so bad. Look at he's literally crapping himself on a regular basis, people. How can you vote for this guy? I don't even like Trump, okay? I've got my reasons about that we'll get into later. But Biden will be pulled. He will be replaced probably with Michelle Obama. Just throwing it out there.
I don't know. We'll see. There's still a long time between now and November. Was it November 3rd or 4th?
Yep.
I don't even know what day election day is.
Think, right?
It's November 5th.
5th? Okay. Yeah, 1st November.
Oh, that's
first
even
November,
better.
November. First Tuesday in November.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks to my amazing co-host.
Remember the 5th of November.
Exactly. Thanks to my amazing co-host for coming out here and kicking ass as always. Real quick, why did it stop? That's really weird. Real quick on the way out, Jeremy, what's your CB handle?
I would have still just stuck with Graham because I'm unoriginal.
Tex, how about you? It can't just be Tex. That wouldn't be any fun.
Oh, big Tex all the way, baby. Big Tex. You hit me up on the CB. Hit me on the one.
Big Daddy Tex, you mean?
Damn right. From your list to God's ears.
This is Boobs and Murder rolling hot down the road. Mine would obviously be El Padrino, the Godfather. I think it would have to be that. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming out. We'll see you at some point, either if not on Thursday, the next Tuesday for something. And you know,
God, I want that car. Look at that car.
Here you go, Tex.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Hate to see her go, but you